Welcome to Big Boy Crypto, home of the BitSquad, the largest and greatest crypto community in all of the interwebs. This is Around the Blockchain, your favorite bearded guest show that comes Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Favorite topics with your favorite guests. Today is no exception. We're going to jump right into it. Today, we got a first-timer. It is Neil Jacobs. I wouldn't say this. Maybe he wouldn't say this, but some would say he is a Bitcoin maxi. Maybe not a fan of Ethereum. Maybe not a fan of Craig Wright, or I also heard not a fan of awkward pauses. I don't know what's going on with that. And let's see, we also have Altcoin Daily. You got to check out their channel. We always try to. Today, they just released the 9 best altcoins. What are they? I don't know. Maybe he'll sneak one in during the show today. He'll share the love, share that wealth there. And we also have Mine Your Biz. I learned today that he hates slobs. Now, I'm not talking about the lazy people. I'm talking about Streamlabs, OBS. He's a fan of the original OBS, I guess. And we have, he accidentally unplugged the Wi-Fi today. We have Ben Armstrong rounding up the final channel there, the corner. All right, before we get into the topics, we're going to talk Mt. Gox. We're going to talk Bitcoin lobbying. But before we get into that, you know what time it is. It is time for the Market Watch. It has been a choppy week. We got, Crypto Face. He had a long last night. He had a short 8 hours later. It's going all over the place. Bitcoin right now down about 4%, 57,000. I'm feeling a little bit of a glimmer of hope with Ethereum holding support at 4,000. Looks good to me. Binance coin, I took a little off the table at 660. I'm feeling pretty good about that. Cardano all the way down to 180. XRP still holding support above $1.05. If we check out the top gainers, is there anything? Look at that. Sandbox. We've been telling you on this channel, metaverse, and the chart right here is telling no lie. Sandbox up 30%, Decentraland up 20%. Rest of Algorand, Engine. I mean, a lot of these plays with the metaverses, they're going up. If we look at the top losers, I'm almost scared. Phantom down 12%, Cardano down 12%, but that's it as far as the double-digit losses. Now it's looking like we got a little support at 4,000. Ben, I know you're looking at some market cipher this morning. I know they call you Green Dot Ben. What is it looking like to you as far as support with Ethereum specifically?
Well, I mean, $4,000 is looking pretty solid for Ethereum, but that doesn't really mean anything. If Bitcoin were to go down to 53, or that's what some people are calling for, then Ethereum's going to go right along with it. I mean, it's going to crash through that $4,000 support. So that's why I'm really looking at Ethereum TA, other than looking at the Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart in terms of Ethereum dominance or value versus Bitcoin. That's really the only one that's going to really give you heads or tails or which direction they're heading in, because if Bitcoin drops, Ethereum is going to drop with it. So, look, I put a tweet out earlier today. I don't believe that astronomy affects the Bitcoin price. Also, full moon tomorrow. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with that. And those who don't know what he's talking about when he says the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, you can look at that trading pair and you'll see the power of how much of a percentage like one Ethereum is compared to Bitcoin. And yeah, as far as TA for Ethereum goes, I have to agree with Ben. That is probably the strongest TA, because we say it a lot. Bitcoin, one coin rules them all. And right now it's definitely Bitcoin. So Bitcoin goes up. A lot of times coins go up. Bitcoin goes down. We see it time after time after time after time. But all right, it is time for the lightning round. That's right. We got more graphics. We got more pizzazz. Boom. Look at that. Power level 9,000. Today's question for the lightning round, we're going to start with mine and then go counterclockwise. Ooh, we're switching it up here. If Bitcoin is digital gold, Ethereum is digital oil, what are NFTs? Mine, what are NFTs then?
Oh my gosh. So first off, if Bitcoin is digital gold, we're already talking about sort of the elemental and the periodic table sphere, right? We're talking about things that have an inherent store of value, right? And if Ethereum is digital oil, we're talking about something that also has inherent value, is very, very old, not as elemental as, say, like, a metal or a precious metal, but it has some kind of utility. Then I think NFTs, it's got to be somewhere in the middle, right? It's got some kind of ability to power things. It's got some kind of ability to hold value. It's kind of hard to hold. It's kind of difficult to define. I'm going to say it's not uranium. It's somewhere on the periodic table, somewhere in between actinium and protactinium. Y'all know what I'm talking about. That's right, thorium. So it's actually thorium. that is NFTs.
Okay.
Right? It eventually turns into lead, but it takes like 14 billion years.
A little periodic table humor there. I like it. All right, Altcoin Daily. All right, we got Bitcoin digital gold, Ethereum digital oil. What are NFTs?
Okay, Bitcoin digital gold. It is the most scarce. Its value comes from its properties, the fact it's undebasable, it's uncorruptible. Bitcoin is digital gold. Ethereum, digital oil. It's the oil that powers NFTs. It's the oil that powers DeFi. It's the oil that powers the whole Ethereum ecosystem. It's the unit of account for Ethereum's whole ecosystem. Things like Solana, Elrond, AVAX. You can say that they are like digital refined oil. They've made some trade-offs. They've changed the chemical compound a little bit. Digital refined oil is Solana, Elrond, AVAX. Cardano, you could say that Cardano is also like digital refined oil. I would say that Cardano is like digital wood, not plywood, not balsa wood, but something strong like digital oak, digital mahogany, because of the choices that they're making.
Cherry.
Now, exactly. Now, NFTs can be on any of the things I just mentioned. NFTs could be on Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Cardano. NFTs are digital collectibles or digital club memberships. Their value comes from specifically the community, like baseball cards, memorabilia, like exclusive passes. I mean, baseball cards aren't valuable because of the ink and paper. It's valuable because of what it represents, the story, the legend, the history. So I'd say NFTs, digital collectibles, digital club memberships. Then we could also go down the line, Chainlink, digital hinges, like a door hinge connecting the outside data to the blockchain. Right. Decentraland and Sand, digital metaverse property, SHIB, digital dog doo-doo. I mean, we can go down the whole list.
All right. That was good, man. That was good. You came prepared for sure. All right, Neil Jacobs, what would you say NFTs are?
Well, just when we talk about Bitcoin as digital gold, I think that undersells what Bitcoin can be. And obviously, as the resident Maxi on the stage, I have to start with that.
Yeah, you got to be on brand. We expect
Bitcoin is will be the space layer, the settlement layer for all monetary transactions in the future. As far as what NFTs are, NFTs did start on Bitcoin. I am not that interested particularly in NFTs. A lot of people build them as collectibles, but for me, collectibles, something can't just start off being a collectible, and that just like people like, all right, new NFT, this is a collectible. Baseball cards became collectibles because someone left their, Joe DiMaggio card buried in their closet, right? And that's why it was a collectible, because everyone else threw them out. So this whole thing that it has value right off the bat just doesn't make much sense to me. And also in terms of storing value for the long term, I just don't see that applicable in this situation because it's easy to duplicate. It could be copied on another chain. Yes, I know, you have a hash on a chain, but to me, it's all the same.
Okay, all right, and chat is definitely going nuts. They definitely have their own ideas. Some of these I can't say out loud. Now, Ben Armstrong, we have the digital gold, we have the digital oil. Mm-hmm. What are NFTs?
Yeah, well, first let's put that poll up right after this. Let's not forget to do that. So, but here's what I want you guys to think of. I do agree Bitcoin is digital gold. I also don't necessarily disagree with Neil's statement that it could be the settlement layer for transactions in the future, but I would say the far distant future, 40, 50 years from now, after we go through some transitions, I think that could happen. But what I would say is, if you think about like NFTs, right? Like they're new, it's fresh. I want to take you guys back to like something else, like in the 80s that was new and fresh. And a lot of people everywhere who were like, had low income were like, looking for, how they can get a hold of these things. I'm going to say crack cocaine, digital crack cocaine.
Okay.
That's what NFTs are for sure.
All right. I mean, I got the fever. I'm scratching my neck. That's all I can say. All right. If I had to guess, I would say, we have the digital gold, we have the digital oil. Well, NFTs, what's the number one thing you do with oil? You probably, drive a car. So I would say NFTs are the cars. They are the number one thing consuming all the gas. All right. So let's go to the first topic here. Oh, first, we're going to do a poll. I was typing it up now. We're going to have 3 options. Should we eliminate guests? Yes, we should eliminate guests, 1 per round. No, don't eliminate guests. Or the third option, only a head-to-head at the end. So all the guests would stay until at the end, and in which case we would cut it down to 2. I put that in the chat right now, I believe. There it goes right there. So let us know. Should we keep eliminating guests? Or go
This
ahead.
will be gospel. We're leaving. This is choose your own adventure for the audience. Whatever you guys want, we're gonna roll with.
Yeah, you ready for it? This is a YouTube DAO. Okay, so yeah, take part.
Gonna do a new
You
show.
can
Is this gonna be a crypto
you're
celebrity
part
death
the
match? Or are you guys
BitSquad.
gonna
It's the
roll out
BitSquad
something
DAO.
new entirely? Like,
Yeah.
I want to
Well.
see crypto celebrity death match personally. So I mean, like we saw in Dubai, right? We saw the people boxing or whatever. But there's been like people been talking some smack about having an MMA showdown in Miami. No one's gonna really do it, but like
All right.
here at least, it can be a battle of words.
Well, Mind Your Biz. Would you ever sign up for a crypto boxing match?
Crypto boxing match?
Yeah,
Nah, man.
You
that's,
take
that's
shirtless
like,
pics on your Twitter. I'm not zooming in or
Whoa.
anything.
I'm
Or
not
am
a
I?
boxer,
I don't know.
bro.
Who knows?
Yeah, so here's the thing. You try to make it sound weird, but I like being very close to other men to make them submit. It's MMA. Don't make it weird.
I'm not trying to make it weird. I know Ben. Ben's had some people trying to get him involved with certain personalities. He's a gentle giant. You don't. Ben, did you have any inclination to do that?
Yeah, we almost did one over the summer, but we would do one in the bear market. We're not going to do one in the bull market. Too much stuff to do. I would definitely get in the ring and fight somebody. I got no qualms.
All right. You, all those haters out there, you could put up or shut up. That's what we're saying here. All right, well, let's get to the first topic here. The Mount Gox Settlement. Those who don't, just a little brief history. It was the big famous hack that happened long time ago. All the Bitcoin disappeared off the #1 exchange. For reference, obviously it'd be a much bigger impact today, but imagine if everybody opened up their Coinbase and everyone's Bitcoin was gone. That's essentially what happened many moons ago. So yeah, it was hacked several times. Started 2011. Millions of Bitcoin were stolen or lost. Now, Neil, let's go straight to the maxi here. Now, is the reimbursement gonna help its reputation? I mean, isn't proving the public ledger, money, isn't it proven that this is the future of money? Is this helping in a weird way? Does this help Bitcoin's reputation?
I don't think it does anything either way to Bitcoin's reputation. I think this is great for the people, the creditors of Mt. Gox, because I don't think that it forced them to hodl. And there's no way that people would have been holding their coins for 8 years. So even getting 20%, I think it's like 20% of their Bitcoin back, is probably much better than they would have done. Obviously, if you're one of those people who lost the coins on the exchange, you probably will disagree. But I think that most of those people actually are benefiting from this. And we saw a poll, I think it was Brad Mills in that article you shared before the show, that over 50% of people aren't going to sell any of their Bitcoin, which is great. And people who are getting in the Bitcoin Cash fork that all of them are entitled to, a majority are selling their Bitcoin.
Yeah,
So-
not
or
only
their
is the
Bitcoin
majority
Cash.
selling, I think it was 58% said they're selling all of it. So, I mean, there's
Yeah.
going to be a huge dumping pressure on BCH. Those who don't know, Bitcoin forked years ago. So, they get to participate in real Bitcoin. And I mean, can I say fake Bitcoin? Can I say that? And
You
they
can.
get BCH.
You
That's
can.
what we'll say. And they get BCH. Now, Ben, I know you're in the space back then. What do you think the biggest lesson that the cryptoverse learned from this was?
It's a great question. Well, I would say the #1 lesson people learned is custodianship, and I have a Mt. Gox claim. I'm not going to pursue it. I would pursue it in the beginning, but it's only like $1,000. It's not very much because it was just dust. A lot of people know my story. I sold all my Bitcoin I had at the end of 2013 in November, and then I had some dust in there that would be worth a lot. And in 2014, Mt. Gox was hacked in February. And so even if I would have had the Bitcoin in there, I would have lost access to it because it would have been hacked. But I think Neil makes a good point about, at least if I still had it in there, 20% of that would still be a large amount of money, which would be good. But it's not really worth the amount of money and time for me to pursue it. You got to have all these different passwords and go through all these different processes. So I kind of quit pursuing mine about a year ago. But what I would say the #1 thing that people learned is custodianship, because actually the parallel you made with Coinbase, it actually doesn't even close to fit. Okay.
No.
Because Coinbase is probably about 15% of the market, I would say, maybe less than that. At the time when Mt. Gox crashed, it was 90% of Bitcoin transactions were done through Mt. Gox. So it would be like if we woke up and Coinbase, Binance, FTX, Crypto.com, KuCoin, they all had been hacked overnight. That's really more equivalent to what it would be like. And so at that point, like I didn't understand what a Bitcoin wallet was. I honestly, at that time, you guys know, like noobs in crypto are like, how can you hold Bitcoin except on Coinbase? That's how I was back then. It was like something other than Mt. Gox exists. I had no idea. I didn't even know things outside of Mt. Gox existed to hold your Bitcoin. I thought that was the only place you could do the transaction. So the custodianship and learning like how to really take ownership of your Bitcoin after Mt. Gox, it forced everyone in crypto to really think about those things. So I think that's, that's when we talk about not your keys, not your crypto. But there's different levels of custodianship. With Coinbase, you own your crypto more on Coinbase than you own it on Robinhood or PayPal, because that's a mid-tier level of custodianship, because once you transfer it out, you do own it. With Robinhood, at least at this point, I don't know if they turn it on yet. I know with PayPal they haven't. The withdrawals, they have not. So that you own none of your crypto at all and have no way of taking ownership of it with those. So it's just taught as a wide range of custodianship, and you certainly should have some of your crypto that you own exclusively, on hardware device or whatever it might be, a hot wallet, to where nobody else has access to it, even the exchange itself.
All right, great knowledge bomb with the 15% and the 90%. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to just wrap my head around that. That would be, you want to talk about catastrophic. I mean, we might be knocking off like 2 decimal points off that. That would be oh man, that'd be really bad. So yeah, they approved the plan to reimburse the original investors. Now, when this news broke, now maybe it was a coincidence, maybe it wasn't. Since that news is broke, Bitcoin's price is down 18%. Now, Mine Your Biz. Is this a related event? Max Kaiser said, don't worry, the price won't fall. Now, maybe, he has a certain interest in the price not falling, but the price did fall about 18%. Can we blame the Mt. Gox, plan to go through with the disbursement, or is this just unrelated, just regular things were overbought, or why do you think the Bitcoin fell so hard?
Yeah, I think when it comes to like trying to pin the blame on a Bitcoin price move on any one single event, we're always going to come up short. Bitcoin is it's a little bit more scare resistant than that. Even with these being very irrational markets, right? People really responding out of fear or greed, right? Primarily, and then other emotions. They just feel some kind of way about Bitcoin, and so they smash buy or they smash sell, which is probably a big mistake. Mt. Gox, though, I think, it's part of the DNA of the entire cryptoverse, right? And people who are even who say that they're vehemently against Bitcoin for whatever reason, they have some kind of a problem with it because they think that their protocol is superior in some way. Everybody pays respect to the fact that Mt. Gox, it formed our in large part our best practices. It formed our culture. It got people to do proof of keys day, for example. Like Ben was saying before, it got almost all of us unanimously on the same page when we heard Robinhood and PayPal entering into the scene, right? Kind of grifting into the cryptocurrency scene. So yeah, Mt. Gox is it's responsible for a lot of things, but the Mt. Gox event from 2014, and now this current plan, I don't think is responsible for the recent 18% price move in Bitcoin, to answer that question. But to talk about the Mt. Gox event more generally, I think that, yeah, like Ben was alluding to as well, I mean, this is a rallying cry. When people say, or like, I guess I really like the way that Bitcoin Zay says it, not your keys, not your cheese. Like when people say that, we mean it in this space. If you are entirely dependent on FTX, if you're entirely dependent on crypto.com, I don't care if they bought the Staples Center. They're not going to be able to hold your Bitcoin there. And they're not just going to be able to give it to you on demand if they have a similar problem to what happened to Mt. Gox. And for those of us who've been in the scene for a while, I did not have a position in Bitcoin at that time. But I had good friends who got in very, very early. And I can count on multiple fingers personal acquaintances and friends who all have that shared story, that shared history of, yeah, I got Mt. Goxed. And it's actually a verb now. I got Mt. Goxed. So we can forgive, but we can never forget what happened there. And this whole thing, like this news, I don't see how it would affect Bitcoin's price, because frankly, it looks like they're gearing up to pay out in fiat or fiat equivalents. They're not going to be making people whole on their actual Bitcoin holdings. So if you're worried about what this is going to do to the market, I wouldn't lose any sleep over it at all.
All right.
You have to
well,
think. You have to think that this.
go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you have to think that this was baked in. It's not like this came out of nowhere. I feel like it's hard to really prescribe any particular narrative to why the Bitcoin price moves. But something like this, it's not coming out of nowhere. Even if it was actual Bitcoin, I don't think. Yeah, I have a long-term view anyways, so it doesn't really matter to me on a day-to-day. But I don't really think this affected the price of Bitcoin that much. I think it's just Bitcoin being Bitcoin. And I think people underestimate how big of an event this was. And Ben brought it up before that they held like 95% or 95% of the transactions took place on Mount Gox. People thought Bitcoin might not survive after that. So the fact that it did, I think that was its biggest test.
I've said that many times. I've said that many times. I thought it was dead at that point. I had given up on it completely, trying to get out of the market for a while.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely thought it was dead as well. You bring up a good point. I definitely agree with you. You can't really prescribe, one event to a price changing, but I would like to push back a little, Neil, that I don't think that it's baked in the Mount Gox, people cashing this in. You ask the average retail investor, even the whale, like, what do you expect? Because some people are saying, this is going to happen in 2023. I think when things are baked in, it's maybe, at max, you get a 3-month thing. I think after 3 months, it's too far in the future for crypto. I mean, I just personally don't think it's baked in. Maybe it is to some people, but the people I speak to, I don't think it's on anyone's radar, to be fair. But I did want to ask Altcoin Daily one quick question. I'm going to allude to you, Neil. You kind of brought it up that, they did a poll. Most want to hold on to some of their Bitcoin, these Mt. Gox people. But more than half want to sell all of their BCH. Let's just say you're a recipient. You get a little Bitcoin, you get a little BCH. I know you're a holder, so I'm interested in what you would do with the BCH. What do you do when you receive all this crypto? Are you holding it all? Are you selling some? What are you selling?
For me personally, if I receive the Bitcoin and BCH, I mean, obviously, Bitcoin, BCH is, the market does not value that. But just what is going to happen with these creditors getting their Bitcoin back. They are for sure getting their Bitcoin back, about 20% or whatever. The date is not set in stone yet. And we don't know if they're receiving real Bitcoin or if they're receiving USD. If they receive USD, maybe we'll see a flux of buy orders going to buy Bitcoin. If they receive regular Bitcoin, maybe we'll see a slight dump. Ultimately, I mean, the price could go down a little bit. I think the boogeyman aspect in general is like where the greatest fear is coming from, just like how we used to have like the China boogeyman, or we still have the Tether boogeyman a little bit. I think however it goes down, I think this is a small blip in Bitcoin's decades long, future radar, where Bitcoin has the best Gini coefficient out of any cryptocurrencies. Gini coefficient is the measure of distribution across populations. And I think, stuff like this just makes Bitcoin more distributed in, to the minnows and efficient to the whales, and it just more Bitcoin in the hands of more people.
All right, you kind of glossed over the answer there. You would turn your BCH into real Satoshis?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's not going to happen to me, but I think, I mean, it's obviously the value prop is way different. I think.
So you're not on the BCH hodl for decades plan?
No,
I'm not personally. I'm not trying to like put you on the spot or anything. I was just, just kind of wondering what Altcoin Daily, the famous hodler, would do with his BCH.
Yeah, I think, I mean, the market has already chosen Bitcoin for the properties that it possesses. But I mean, I would change my mind on BCH if something changed, but at this point, I don't think so. I think.
All right, so you're the believer of one true Bitcoin. I think all of us on this panel are a believer of there is one true Bitcoin, and it's the one that's worth a little bit more than the other one. All right, well, let's go to the last topic here: Bitcoin lobbying. Speaking of Bitcoin. And we're not talking about, the foyer. We're talking about, at the end of the day, some might call it bribing. Some might say influencing. Some might say just trying to get a seat at the table. We're trying to get some lobbying efforts underway with the politics and the politicians in America. So Filecoin, Kraken, and the Digital Currency Group has raised another $4 million for the Blockchain Association. This is a crypto lobbying group. They're trying to lobby on behalf of crypto. And those who don't know, we've done an excellent video here on Digital Currency Group. Now, Ben, I mean, they're a financial cartel. They got ties to the CCP. Is Bitcoin more centralized than most people think it is?
Well, yeah, within a vacuum, I believe that it is for sure. I think there are a lot of decisions. There's a lot of contamination with Blockstream and Bitcoin. There is certainly a consolidation of holders and whales. When you look at a lot of projects, like you take XRP, for instance. I mean, over 50% of the coins themselves, we talked about this morning with John Dean, are owned by, Ripple themselves. So that's not like great. That's a centralization of coins. But there's also a centralization of addresses that definitely does exist, where you have these whales. I mean, look, here's a fact. The fact is, it only takes 98. Now, look, this study was done in the spring, so I don't know what this exact number is. Bank of America did a study back in the spring. It says there's only 98. It only takes $98 million to move Bitcoin 1%. You look at all the whales that have billions of dollars. There is certainly some centralization when it comes to the control and the manipulation of the prices. But the fact is, Bitcoin is still far and away the most decentralized project that we do have. But there are some taints and some elements, of centralization that can get into that. So there are a lot of nodes. I mean, I think there's about 10,000 nodes or so that run the network. So in terms of the network itself, there's not a lot of centralization. There is, I believe, some centralization with some of the hash rate and the mining companies that own a large percentage, but then that can be broken down as well. But I mean, certainly Vitaly Buterin talked about a while back that there's a continuum of centralization versus decentralization. You're never going to have 100% centralization. You're never going to have 100% decentralization. So Bitcoin definitely falls more on the decentralized side than anything else that we currently have. But it's still not, completely there. And there definitely are some criticisms that you can make towards things.
All right. Now, Neil, I want to bring it to you. I mean, there's some, some words going around there that you might not be a fan of, centralization, this and that. Now, a lot of maxis, I'm not saying you are, or this is how you feel, but a lot of maxis, they like what Gary Gensler's doing because, they're firmly in the camp that Bitcoin's not a security, and they're going after these other coins, stable coins and XRP. Now, do you consider him, a hero of Bitcoin, or do you think that he's an enemy of your enemy, which is the altcoins?
So let me just push back really quick on one thing Ben said. Ben said there's about 10,000 nodes. So those are known nodes on the network. A lot of nodes are run behind Tor. So some estimates have it closer to like 100,000. But when it comes to any cryptocurrency, Bitcoin's clearly more decentralized. As far as coins being held concentrated in certain wallets, a lot of those studies have been really poor. They exclude like exchange wallets in those studies, which is obviously ridiculous because over 100 million people keep their coins on exchanges. So your next question, what was Gary Gensler? Yeah. This is what I think. I'm not some like statist. I don't think we should be controlling what everyone does. However, there are securities laws. So if you have normal equities that have to follow them, if there are cryptocurrencies that fall under those same rules and precedent, then they should have to comply. It's not up for me to decide the law. The law is the law. Gary Gensler is going to decide. I know as a Bitcoiner, I'm not worried about Gary Gensler because it is properly decentralized. And there's no board of directors. There's no team to call up. There's nobody. Everyone involved in like Bitcoin, like the core devs could like disappear tomorrow and Bitcoin would just keep going. You can't say that about other projects.
All right. So Gary is your hero. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. All right. Well, I like hearing these other perspectives, and I'm sure the BitSquad does as well. Now, Altcoin Daily, we have these, DCG, there seems like they're lobbying on our behalf, right? They're lobbying for crypto. They're lobbying for decentralization. Do you think that's really what they're lobbying for? Or do you think they're lobbying for a seat at the table so they can write the laws, much like you see with the oil companies and the like?
I think it's probably a combination of both, but I think overall, whether we're talking about Kraken or the digital currency group, I think they want to make sure that their business is going to be okay for not just a couple of years, but maybe a couple of decades. And I think this kind of lobbying, don't hate the player, hate the game. This kind of lobbying is needed. This funding is going to go towards hiring staff, hosting events, and getting in front of lawmakers, not just once, but a continued education for them, because even just regular people coming into the market, they don't know what they don't know, and it takes a while before you fully grasp everything that's going on in cryptocurrency. And so this is for a continued conversation with them, so they have the funding and the people to do that. So I think it's going to be good for everybody.
Ultimately, I tend to agree. We'll see, we'll see. But as long as there's other people at the table with DCG, I'm leaning towards a little bit of bullish scenario here. All right, final question here.
Yeah, how did Filecoin get in on that? I mean, that's kind of like just a specific one.
I'm sure it's to pump their own bags, Like,
why didn't they ask BitBoy? Why didn't they ask BitBoy Crypto to get in on this?
Maybe. I mean, he's out
Great
there
question.
shaking hands with politicians, so we'll see how that goes.
Well, we're looking at forming some crypto lobbying groups ourselves. So,
all right,
we don't have as much money as Digital Currency Group by any stretch of the imagination, but these are things we are looking into. These are probably bear market things for us, as we're super focused on what's happening in the market right now. But that is something I'm not interested in running for political office, but I'm certainly interested in affecting the politics of crypto.
All right, if we do a fundraiser, I want to see all three of you at the table, at that $10,000 a plate table where we give you some chicken tenders. We want to see all that. Go to a good place.
Y'all are invited.
You guys are invited. All right, final question here. Mine. Now, it seems like some of these proof of work chains might be able to benefit from this, because it seems like one of the reasons they don't want to go after Bitcoin, maybe it's because they're proof of work. Now, we have Ergo, we have Cadena, we have these other coins, Raven Coin, and I don't know if I should bring that up, but we have these proof of work coins. Do you think that they'll get a pass from the SEC because they're proof of work?
That's one potential outcome, and I think that's been like you're saying, as far as the proof of work community. I think you spoke very, very well earlier by framing it as the enemy of our enemy is becoming like our friend. So there are a lot of proof of work miners who are excited about the prospect of maybe being viewed more favorably. There was talk about the infrastructure bill labeling miners as brokers for a time, which was just ridiculous. Because, it caused so many issues with what could potentially be interpreted as a tax liability or as a securities liability or a money-changing liability in the future. Because even that word, they didn't really clearly define what they meant by brokering exactly what and in which field precisely, because there's still such a lack of clarity on the native asset itself, right? So there is a bit of a need. Jumping back to the core article that we're talking about right now, there's definitely a need. If there are lawmakers, who are still around because somehow miraculously our government is still funded, rather they didn't print enough money to keep funding themselves. If they're still around making laws, we have to nudge them in the right direction. And for as much as many people believe that, like a decentralized node network, we can all just signal our intent and that democracy as such out to the individual works in this country, sadly, that's not true. And it's not even just a representative republic. We do have these lobbyists who've been instrumental in changing laws here in the United States for our entire lifetime and beyond, right? So for a very, very long number of decades, it is decided by committee. It is decided by people who have the ear of those in the seats of power. And then, it also is decided by occasionally our elected representatives as well. I know there's somebody in the audience who's like, wait, what? You mean my voting doesn't matter? That's not what I said. Lobbyists matter in a way that voting doesn't. So we didn't get a vote on the infrastructure bill. We got to talk to our representatives. It kind of helped. And now to try to undo some of the damage that is going into law, that will definitely go into law with the infrastructure bill, we have to get people on Capitol Hill. And frankly, at this point, I kind of don't care that the money's coming from Digital Currency Group. If they can be prevailed upon to hear reasonable requests from the cryptocurrency community, actually be sensitive to the feedback of people who have skin in the game, and then, as was mentioned before, perhaps open the table, right, the round table, so that others with really great ideas for crypto lobbying and for crypto legislation, so that they can assist as well, because we can't just trust that one source. But I know that was a lot.
No, I loved it. All right, that is all we got time for. It looks like the poll results are in, thousands upon thousands of votes. We definitely appreciate. Go ahead and hit that like button. We got more votes than likes, so that's wrong. So go ahead and hit that like button. But 22% said continue with the eliminating guests. 63% said no. 15% would like the head-to-head, but it looks like the no's have it. But that is all we got time for. Oh, real quick, someone in chat, Coin, you're just kissing Ben's behind, DZ. He's not going to give you a raise. Well, you clearly don't watch Hit Network, where you can see behind the scenes, and you get to see, some butting heads. You get to see a little bit of some clashes here and there. So make sure you watch Hit Network. Frank Parisi, his livelihood depends on it. So make sure you're watching that. But Ben, You went from eliminated last episode to winning. So go ahead. You got the final parting thoughts here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great. I do want to be clear on something. When DZ and I butt heads, afterwards, if there's any hair on his head, it came from my head, not from his clearly.
That could have been way worse. That could have been way worse.
It could have been.
I was
guys,
scared.
As always, I appreciate all the support on the channel, on the show. We have a lot of different perspectives that come on. You guys make sure that all three of these guys, you go follow their socials, you go find their links in their description. That's one reason why we do this show. It's not just because it's great content. You get new perspectives, but we give you a wide variety of people that you should check out that we think are good people in crypto. So shout out to everybody for being on the show, and I'll take the ship.
All right, and that's all we got time for today, BitSquad. And until next time, DZ out.